A successful defense attorney begins falling for a client, a charismatic surgeon who just might be guilty of committing a grisly murder in the series premiere of Doubt. Season 1, Episode 1 of the pilot of CBS's Doubt starts right now.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hey everybody, welcome to the first ever episode of the pilot for CBS's hit new show Doubt. I'm your host Drexel Heard. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Drexel Heard. And I've got a great new panel with me. Yay. To my left, it's her first show ever here at AfterBuzz. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Hi guys, I'm Hurlin and I'm from South Africa, so that's where the accent's from, because everyone thinks I'm Australian. And you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Hurlin.
Hey guys, I'm Chae Jones. You can find me at Real Chae Jones on Twitter and Instagram.
Hey everybody, I'm Timothy Michael. You can find me on all social media platforms at I am Timothy Mike. And I'm super excited to join this panel. This is my first show at AfterBuzz, doing an after show that's a pilot.
It's my first one too.
I'm really excited.
This is
gonna be fun.
Be sure to follow AfterBuzz TV at AfterBuzz TV and follow us on Twitter. Join the conversation using the hashtag ABTVDoubt. And leave your comments in the chat below or on iTunes if you're listening to the podcast. So I'm going to start today, like this first episode out, just talking about fan reaction on social media versus fan reaction versus critics' reaction. Fan reaction when I was watching last night, because Chae and I were live tweeting the show last night. They thought it was great. I'm going to just read some headlines from some of the newspapers, though. Hollywood Reporter. From Katherine Heigl to Dule Hill to Stephen Pasquale to Laverne Cox to Dreamer Walker. They had to clearly name everybody. CBS's Doubt strands a great cast in a weak legal drama. That was the Hollywood Reporter. The New York Times, Katherine Heigl tackles tricky cases and jumbled scripts in Doubt.
Oh, yikes.
And then Washington Post, Doubt is the perfect TV show for Katherine Heigl because it's totally fine but passionless.
Oh no.
What did you guys, do you guys agree with the critics? But the fans loved it. And I will point out that my favorite show on television is The West Wing, ever, on network television. The New York Times ran an article right when The West Wing first came out. It filleted that show. It was like, this show is not going to do well. And it went on to win 4 Emmys in a row for Best Drama. So you can't always take what the critics say about how shows do. But what do you guys think?
Gosh, well, I'm completely new to this kind of drama, political drama. It's really out my comfort zone, so I had no idea what to expect, but I really loved it. I really did, from beginning to end. I think it started off well. It was a bit funny in the beginning. At the end, I was a little bit teary. In the middle, I was really engaged, what was going to happen. So, yeah, I definitely don't think it was weak.
Washington Post eat that.
Sometimes I just don't think critics always know what's best for the viewers, as we've proven many times. Veronica Mars, obviously.
I love that show. I binged that show.
Oh, I have all the seasons, on iTunes plus the DVDs. That's how obsessed she is, because she needs it all the time. But I really enjoyed this entire episode. From beginning to end, you had Laverne Cox. Her facials give me life. Those facial expressions are the best right now TV for me, for my life. So I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, I feel like critics... I thoroughly enjoy the show. We're doing the after show, because clearly I enjoyed it. But I feel like critics are harsh. And they should give a show, time. Like Drexel said, they filleted, a show that won 4 Emmys. They need to give a show time. It's only the pilot. Yeah. I love the backstory touches that they had on certain characters that I really think that they can explore later on in the season, and hopefully in the next season, depending on how the show goes. But I liked it.
Yeah, I thought the episode was really great. And maybe it's because first of all, and we'll talk about it in a second, it's obviously set in New York City, and I just got back from New York City a few days ago, so it was great to see the city again. And there were so many familiar faces in the cast, and I think that's what, pilots are really tough, and the only thing that can connect you to a show is the cast, especially when you don't really know what's going on. And I had to watch the show twice because I really was not paying. I was kind of paying attention because you're like I don't know where this is going to go in the first rundown, and you have to watch it again just to make sure that you kind of absorb things.
That's interesting that you brought that up though, because it is set in New York City, and in New York City, I'm born and raised in New York, and we're just a very fast-paced society. I guess that would be my one critique for the show, is that it's not as fast-paced as I thought it would be. And you had brought up West Wing, and West Wing is a very fast-paced show. So, I mean, it is out there. It's possible to do. I just think that maybe because it's a political drama, they don't want to go too fast because they'll lose too many people. Like me and Chanel were talking about it. Me and Chanel were talking about it. We're like, I don't know how we're going to cover this show. We're not legal people. Like,
I don't think it's a political drama at all. It's definitely a legal.
Some tricky terms in there.
It's definitely a legal show. And I wrote down because the ending reminded me of Boston Legal. It was a spinoff of The Practice. And it that was the more serious but had comedy written into it. So right now it's like the 2016, this show is like the 2016 version of Boston Legal. So I don't know if the writers
2017.
Whoa, hello.
That's how much you wish we could go back,
2017, yes. I just want to go
that's how
do
much you wish you
over
can go
2016.
back. Please.
Of Boston Legal. So I don't know, like I said, where they're going to go. So let's jump right into some of the cast. Let's just go to go down the list so that everybody can kind of understand. Katherine Heigl plays Sadie Ellis. Katherine Heigl just finished State of Affairs, which was on NBC. This is like her third show since leaving Grey's Anatomy. So obviously somebody else liked working with her.
The guy who runs Grey's Anatomy runs this show as well.
Yeah.
So
except for Shonda Rhimes.
You know.
Yeah.
It is.
Exactly.
It is.
It's all about the business, you guys.
Welcome to La La Land.
Speaking of West Wing, Dule Hill plays Albert Cobb. Dule Hill is from West Wing, Charlie Young.
But Psych also. Just
and
sorry, because I'm
Psych,
a Psych. I love it.
We talked about that when we talked about it. Laverne Cox plays Cameron Worth. This character was actually written to be transgender.
Oh, good. And I'm glad that a transgender person is playing a transgendered role. Just saying.
And
it's the first ever apparently.
It's
Primetime Emmy. Primetime. Yeah.
Primetime.
Although I will say this is the second trans actress to appear on a network show. So every time people were talking about Laverne Cox, I'm like, Candace Cain was on Dirty Sexy Money.
Yep.
So we don't want to forget that piece of it. Where everybody's talking about Laverne Cox, and you're like, but Candace Cain was there. Stephen Pasquale plays Billy Brennan. Dreama Walker plays Tiffany Simon. Elliot Gould from Ocean's 11 plays Isaiah Roth, and my favorite, Judith Light, plays Carolyn Rice, who we meet towards the end. So what did you guys think of this cast, like, as a whole? Like, you're now coming into this because there's so many characters. Some shows really focus on one or two characters. This show has such a team.
Yeah.
It's such an ensemble cast.
Yeah.
What did you think of them together, and like who's your favorite character so far?
Laverne, only because she's Laverne Cox. But if we're just not just doing that, I like Tiffany. Like, I think Tiffany's awesome. Like, she's a second associate, and she's trying to, be this big time lawyer in a New York office when she's from Iowa. And she, how she it's cool. And how she says, she's like, I'm from Iowa. We don't yell. We plead silently.
Are you from Iowa?
No, I'm from Illinois. No.
I mean, you said it so convincingly, like, but I'm from Ohio. I was like,
no, because that's how she said it.
Right.
Like, no, but I grew up in a small town in Illinois, in the project area, so no.
No cows for you.
We don't. Oh, hell.
No.
They ain't got no
The cars. There are lots of cars, okay. And rice houses. So.
And rice house. What's your favorite character?
I'm gonna say somebody that you didn't actually say on the initial cast list. Lauren Blumenfeld plays Lucy Alexander, the assistant.
Oh, yeah.
Worst assistant ever.
She's so
awesome.
funny. I love her.
She only had like 2 lines.
And that's how you know
Right.
that she's great, because I was like, I'm living for every time she came on the screen. I was like, I love her. Like, she's like my favorite character.
I also want to say that she was in a movie which I loved growing up as a kid. It's like one of my favorite movies as a young girl. It's A Little Princess. She played one of the girls. She played Rosemary.
Gosh, yeah.
And that book is like everything to me. Like, I just love, like, how they also all about girl power. It's just like, you don't have to be rich. It doesn't care if you're rich, poor, black, white. It doesn't matter. We're all powerful and we all
Yeah.
matter as women and as a girl. I love that.
I love that movie. It's a great movie.
Well, I'm also a massive fan of Laverne Cox, but in this role, and I don't know if I'm alone on this, so guys, let us know, but I'm so used to seeing her in Orange is the New Black, where she's really raw and rough, and now to actually see her play a character that's really groomed and professional and gorgeous and herself, I'm going to have to warm up to it.
Yeah.
I don't know if she is 100% believable. People might kill me for saying that, but I think I could warm up to her.
No, I felt the same way.
Yeah.
She just, last in 2016 in October, we saw her do Rocky Horror Picture Show. And then obviously Orange is the New Black. But yeah, I mean, I thought Laverne Cox was great. There are so many characters. I don't know who I think is going to be my favorite character just yet.
Yeah, there are too many. Woo.
There are too many, like, because I think it has a lot to do with their relationships.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
do I like this person? Do I hate this? Do I like how this person's interacting with this person? But I think across the board, this show, everybody from what I read on social media, is like Laverne Cox's show. Like,
No.
like Katherine Heigl is like second. I mean, it just seemed like that. Like,
Yeah.
this is like. Nobody was talking about Katherine Heigl when they were talking about this show.
That's
Yeah.
funny that you
Yeah.
said
Even
that.
us, really.
Like, no, because, like, there was a comment on Twitter by Miles Walsler. I'm so sorry if I just messed up your name. Is at kilometers W. And he's like, as a trans law student, it means the absolute world to me to see Laverne Cox play a trans lawyer. Like, she, like, it's like, she kind of
She's
moved
relevant.
inspiration.
Right, but aside from the historical like greatness of this situation,
Right.
if I had to like piece it down from character to like who is better, like from the pilot, from the get-go, just Laverne Cox's character is just a better character than the Katherine Heigl's character.
I disagree
Like-
with you.
Yeah,
I disagree with you. I think that if it's not going to be Katherine Heigl, then it would be Dule Hill's character.
Well,
Albert.
yes, I'm just talking about comparing those two. I'm talking about Katherine. I'm talking about this as a vehicle for Laverne Cox. She's in a better position for people to pay attention to her than Katherine Heigl is at the top with the top billing. This is
Okay.
Katherine Heigl's show,
But I also feel like because
But-
Laverne,
Laverne Cox has got a more compelling character right now.
But I feel like I feel like that is only the case because Laverne Cox is just coming off of Orange is the New Black, and all these other characters haven't really done a show in a while.
I'm saying she's better than Katherine Heigl.
Yes, but what I'm saying is that you're saying that she it's more of a vehicle from her. Everybody's talking about Laverne Cox. Well, of course they would because she's Orange is the New Black. Like she's just coming off of this hit Emmy-winning show or Golden Globe-winning show, Orange is the New Black. So I can see why everybody's talking about her, but I don't think that's to take away anything from Katherine Heigl because I think she's holding the show down fairly well.
Yeah, I think she's great.
But I mean, it's Laverne Cox is the new shiny thing. So everybody, and I'm not saying that she's not great. I'm just with Chanel on this one, where I feel like she can, and it's just the pilot. Don't kill me. Yet. I feel like she could be a little bit more believable.
Yeah, only up from here.
I don't know what that means. Let's just talk about that for a second.
I'm sorry with Drexel. Like, what do you mean
believable
believable?
means?
So as a lawyer, I feel like you have to, and I'm also an actor, so I get where the process comes from, but I feel like you have to be a little bit more commanding. I feel like you have to be a little bit more, you just have to have more of like a presence about you, and I just don't feel like she has that just
Okay,
yet.
so let's
Not
talk
as convincing
Yes,
enough
okay,
yet.
and I think that has, and I'm gonna jump ahead real quick because there's two different cases that are happening here. You've got the main case, which is gonna be throughout pretty much the whole season, and then you've got this secondary case, which I think will
Always
be a different case.
Yeah.
So
That's
I
nice.
think so. Just so our viewers know, that's probably how we'll break down when we kind of recap is the main case versus the secondary case. So to go back to Laverne Cox's character, she's got this second case where at the top of the show, she already feels like Katie, that everybody sees Sadie as a better lawyer than her. She has to prove herself. So I feel like her portrayal of that is coming off of that piece of it. Not that she's not commanding, it's that nobody sees her as commanding as Sadie does as a lawyer. So there can be... So maybe that's just how she's playing it because she does not feel as comfortable with all of these other big shot lawyers as everybody else at Roth and Associates.
I agree with that. That's why I was like, when you guys were saying believable, I felt the same way. Like, she feels inferior to Sadie. And
Yes.
like, even Isaiah's like, let her have a fresh new eyes. Like, when
She's
have
like,
I ever needed help?
Right.
I think that aside, I mean, that's talking about her as a character and what her character is like in the show. I don't know, but I'm talking about performance-wise.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like performance-wise, it made a lot of sense.
It could have been interpreted. She might have been interpreting that character like that.
Oh, okay.
It's like she does feel inferior, and that's how she's playing it. But let's talk. Just
agree to disagree here.
Yeah, no, that's what we're talking about.
This is not like going to be like a knockdown.
No. I just wanted to kind of like put that out there that Sadie that could have been an actor choice, and that's how she's doing.
Laverne Cox, we all love you, girl.
We do. Oh yes.
We're obsessed.
I started off by saying
that's what you do with the pilot. Like you have to break it down to where like. You got to strip it down because the next episode, obviously, for folks that don't live in Los Angeles or don't really kind of know how shows work, right out the gate, they might shoot the pilot in January, but may not shoot the second episode until 7 months later.
Yeah, so she might come back in the second episode,
and it might be completely different, right?
Yeah.
Which is what Megan Mullally did in Will and Grace. Yeah. Like Karen was a completely different character from that pilot episode to like. A few episodes later, and we'll see what the new Karen looks like when NBC reboots Will and Grace soon. Let's talk about the main case first. So the main case is the case of the show, which is 24 years ago, Dr. Brennan, who's Stephen Pasquale, who's actually in Bridges of Madison County on Broadway, by the way, who used to be married to Laura Belanti, was 16 years old when his girlfriend, or his ex-girlfriend, Amy Myers, was found murdered in Gramercy Park. Mm-hmm. So the case is brought back 24 years later as Billy on trial for Amy's murder. Mm-hmm. So it's a cold case, blunt force trauma to the head. So did you guys find that to be a convincing case? Because I was like, is there no statutes of limitations? Maybe there's no statutes of limitations on murder.
No, that's only with rape.
Yeah, I was like, what?
I thought there was a statute of limitations on.
No, I don't think so. I don't think
murder. No, I'll take it back.
I just thought it was just so. The reason that this case comes back up is because Michael Slater, a witness, sat in a group therapy session and heard this. What he thought was a confession.
Yeah.
I thought that was a little weird because I thought it was a little hearsay. Yeah. But nobody brought that up.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. Ladies first.
Okay. No, I felt like I actually put like a question mark next to his name because I'm just like, as a credible witness, and the way he was just sitting there and the way he said it, like if you can remember, he's like, I said I did it, but you can't remember how you reacted. That's a little fishy for me. That's a little sketchy.
Which is what was brought up, right?
Like you can't just remember 24 years later, oh, he said I did it. He never said I killed her. I did anything. I did it. I did it can mean so many things. And nobody brought that up either.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say, I did it, could have been completely taken out of context. He could have felt guilty that he left her in the party that night. He could have felt guilty that he didn't go back for her. He could have felt guilty that she broke up with him. There's so many things that could have been taken out of context, and I did it,
It felt like an episode of Law & Order, like a funny episode of Law & Order. Like, people get killed in Gramercy Park on Law & Order all the time. And I was like, oh, where's Mariska? She's gonna pop out of nowhere. Where's Detective Stabler?
But I feel like it started off they introduced it to us kind of like wishy-washy with this hearsay and all. But I do, and then I was kind of feeling like this is weak. That's where we can use the word weak. But then now that they've brought in a murder weapon and the blood type. Now I'm thinking, okay, now it's got potential. It's a little bit stronger, this case. I'm believing it a little bit more now.
See, I think what bothers me about this case is that Dr. Billy Brennan isn't like evil. Like if this is going to be a case that's going to be established or a reoccurring case throughout the entire season, I want to be like, did he do it or did he not do it? Like right now, I'm like, he couldn't have done it. Like he's a peds surgeon. He's offering his blood. Of course he couldn't have done it. Like I want there to be a little bit of questioning.
And it's 24 years later.
Theory on that too.
But you know what they always say about nice people. And so maybe maybe the writers are trying to portray him as this really, really nice peds person, but then they're going to pull the rug out from underneath us a few episodes from now, and we're going to be like,
maybe he's the crazy one. Maybe he's crazy.
I feel like that's what's going to happen because
he's offering his blood.
Happens. Right.
So maybe now we've got a little lead up. This Laverne Cox's case was kind of like maybe introducing the crazy man's case. Maybe.
I think that they're completely disconnected.
But I do feel like we're going to see a crazy moment, like an angry moment. Mm-hmm.
that's going to turn
our opinion on him, because his mother, played by Kathleen Chalfant, who's in The Affair, Madam Secretary in House of Cards.
She's amazing.
She's amazing.
She
seems very protective, and she seems like somebody who knows her son well enough that she needs to portray this family as well put together, bring all his friends, keep him calm, do this thing, because later on we're gonna find out something crazy.
I have my own theory on that. Like, so let's he's O negative, right?
Yes.
He's gonna give his blood. Stupid, but he's gonna give his blood. And even if it comes back positive, for me, I feel like I just don't believe it's him. I really just want, maybe it was his mom that could have killed her. I don't like she found out he got dumped, and like that kind of just drove Perfect Mom crazy.
I mean, she did seem a little crazy.
Yeah, and just back to the mother, like Chae says, rich people always got skeletons in the closet.
They do.
So I don't put it past her.
That's what I'm saying. We, even though he's nice, I feel like we're going to start to find out. Obviously, it's the pilot, so obviously we're going to find out different. The layers of the onion are going to come back on every character, and I do not see Dr. Brennan as that squeaky clean character as we think that he is. So then Michael Slater comes in. They want to so the whole point of this particular episode is they want to discredit this witness that is really the linchpin of the DA's case at the beginning.
In order to get him out on bail.
In order to get him out on bail, because they hadn't even got to the trial yet. Did you guys find that Michael Slater was a credible witness? Because we touched on it, but did you guys think that just in his testimony that he was a credible witness in the way that he gave about the group therapy and stuff like that?
No, because there's no, like I said earlier, there's no way for you to somehow like do it as in perfect clarity. He said I did it, but you can't remember how you reacted.
Yeah.
Even if you're in shock, you can just say I'm in shock. Like I was in shock. You could have just said it like that, but he was like, I was in shock. Like, it was kind of delayed reaction, like he didn't expect the question. So, skeptical.
I don't know. I believed him. I felt like because he's a music teacher, because he has a daughter, like, they did all this backstory on him about why he came clean in the first place. And then he was like, he couldn't live with the guilt because he has a daughter. And I felt for him, and I was like, okay, I could believe why he would come forward. But then obviously after they found all the dirt on him, then I was like, oh, I guess not.
Yeah, it was a $250,000 book deal.
Which is weird because he turned down a $100,000 like interview or something they had mentioned in the show also.
Well, maybe he already got the book deal before, so
they had to turn down the interview?
Who knows?
But
do you guys think so? Obviously, the DA kind of thinks he's a weak witness, so that's why they really want to find the murder weapon. Do you think that he's going to come back as a part of the case now that they have the murder weapon?
I feel like for some reason they might bring him back, but even if they do, now we can plot reasonable. They can actually say we have reasonable doubt now because he took a $250,000 book deal
on that particular witness. On that particular witness, yeah, he might not be a credible witness, so the DA might just nix him as a on the witness list, and then it's just kind of focus on the murder weapon.
I'm confused about, so the lady that's always following around the Calvin lawyer, like, is she the DA, like his boss? Like, who is she?
The DA is Donna Murphy.
Yes.
I would just like to point out that, and I tweeted it last night, because it's set in New York City, they film in New York City, there are so many Broadway performers in this show. Donna Murphy, who plays the DA, is from Broadway. Ann Herrera, who is the judge, is from Broadway, and Adam Chandler Bure, who we'll talk about in the second case, was also in Next to Normal. Donna Murphy plays the DA,
and then the guy plays the ADA. Okay, so he's the assistant district attorney.
Okay, so, but if you have the ADA taking care of a case, why are you so now involved? Like,
because he has to run everything through her because her name is still on it.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why
I was just kind of skeptical about. I'm just like, I just kept seeing her. I'm like, you're just really quiet. Like, why are you here? What is your purpose?
And that's what they said at the top of the episode. Like, why would the DA show up to a case like this? It's a high-profile case, so the DA is going to show up, even though the ADA is the lead counsel.
Yeah, and like we saw in the beginning of the episode, she's the face of it, so she does all the media and stuff like that. So her face is still out there about the case.
And that's always the case of the district attorney.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on in this case. Obviously, they also wanted him to take a plea deal. Obviously, that fell through. Do you guys, and I that came up a lot, was do you take this plea deal? It went, the original charge is murder in the first, which is, I think, carries the death penalty.
Not in New York. New York
Not
doesn't
in
have
New
death
York, okay. So they dropped the plea. They wanted to take the plea, which was man 2, which would have been 2 years in prison. He'd already served 4 months in prison. Like, would you just convince your client to take that plea deal?
That's what everybody was saying for her to do.
And she said she could drop it to 18 months from the 2 years.
Good behavior and stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. If I actually know, I'd rather know I didn't do it and then just went through with the trial and let somebody else decide for me than take a plea deal and admit something I didn't do.
So many people do that, though.
Yeah.
There's so many innocent people in jail because of that. Would you have taken a plea deal?
Probably.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I think that I would have just taken the plea deal, especially because especially 4 months served to get off good behavior. That's like half your sentence. I mean, yeah, it will probably ruin your life, but at least you're not going to go to jail. I mean, the way that I think about it is that if you go to trial and something goes wrong, the DA pops out a new witness that you had no idea about, and they have like this one piece of evidence like that could really nail you, then you're just going to jail for your whole life instead of what, 10 months, 18 months.
I feel though that if although like you said, a lot of innocent people are in jail at the moment, but if you really didn't do it, I would feel like I can't take the plea because there's no way that they can prove that I'm guilty.
I know, but the system, I feel like the system is so rigged.
Yeah.
Like the system is so
Oh,
like
100,
corrupt
yeah, 100%.
that something would happen. I don't know. I wouldn't take the chance.
Although maybe hearing your side now, I mean, I would have to think about it a lot.
No, stick by yours.
No,
I mean,
but because then it would
wish
only
that I
be
would
like
take it.
18 months and instead of all of this other drama. So
that
that's a
like
tricky
Chicago
question.
for me. Like,
What'd you say?
Chicago the musical?
Yeah, like, you know, the whole she was there and then she gets the death penalty, but she didn't do anything. She was like the only innocent one. Like, I don't know. For me, that would just be like, oh.
Yeah, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah, what would you do?
I'd probably fight it out because I'd probably
You wouldn't go to trial?
the operational person in my head probably would help the DA out. I would help my lawyer out.
But it's funny because everybody, Dule Hill, Isaiah, like Laverne Cox, all of those characters were like, he needs to take the plea deal.
Yeah.
And she was the only one, and I feel like she was the only one because she was developing feelings for him.
Yeah.
If she wasn't developing feelings for him, she probably would have told him to take the plea deal in the beginning.
Because he didn't want to take the plea, so she was on his side.
Which is why she ended up recusing herself at the end of the episode.
Yeah, that's interesting. Is that going to stay?
Probably
Well,
not.
I think she still will be a part of the council, maybe. Mm-hmm. But I think that was the smartest decision she made throughout that episode. I'm sorry,
Right.
it was like the smartest thing you could have possibly done.
Right.
One, because if you know you're developing films and you do fall into a relationship, you will lose your license.
Right.
Like,
Like on the night off.
Yeah.
I wrote down to what Tim said. I wrote down Albert doesn't really like Brennan, or does he just is hard on this guy because he doesn't want Sadie to have her blinders on, and because he had that blow up moment. Albert did when he jumped up in the middle of the courtroom and said, "I'll have them take my blood" or whatever. But I can't tell if he really likes.
I think he's indifferent. I think he's the realist out of the two. He's practical, logical, and he's kind of just and I guess he's detached from the guy. He's not falling in love with him, so he's able to see the other side of this is actually what's happening. We need to do the right thing.
What
for the
I got
case.
from them was they have more of like a brother and sister type relationship.
Yeah.
Sadie
Albert and
yeah.
Sadie, yeah. And that he's very protective of her. I got that when they were talking about his engagement being broken off, and she was like, and he's like, use your scary voice. Like they have these little like things that they do with each other that are like really like familiar
and just adorable.
Yeah, and I feel like they're like brother and sister. Like I don't see them ever hooking up in seasons to
no.
come.
But they got a great
Please,
relationship
Joan,
for sure.
Please do not
Do not do that.
Don't do that.
We really would
Hook
love
up
if you
one
do not
time.
do that.
But can I just go off track a little bit to that engagement break off? I feel like that really killed a little bit of the show for me because I was like, there's no ways. And I already said this to him. I was like, there's no ways that if you leave your dog outside and you forget about him, that your fiance is going to break it off.
Well, I think there were more problems
it was
before
more
that,
problems
though.
leading up to that. Like,
I think that was the
he was
straw.
such a workaholic.
Right, that was the straw.
I think that was like the straw
back.
that brought the camel's
I
back.
just feel like that was a little bit dramatic.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty. I think from an audience, it was a little jarring because you were like,
Yeah.
oh, "We just met her."
Yeah, exactly. We just met her.
Oh, okay.
She has to
Goodbye.
go. She has to go now, though.
Yeah, but that's what's funny about pilots is that you have to take all of these notes on these little characters
Yeah.
that seem insignificant, but you don't know if they're going to come back in
Right.
either later on the season or next season if the show goes.
Maybe he'll grovel.
What was not
Yeah.
insignificant was the second case, which was the subway pusher case, which happens more often than people think in New York City.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's what's
it's
scary.
really
You know,
scary.
I think
Thank you for
there was
that. I didn't even know that.
there was a case last year. I think there was a case last year where two homeless people were fighting and somebody got pushed in there, and this happens all the time.
No, you must stay far away from those doors before you.
Well, you got to stay behind the yellow line. You know,
Yeah,
when they say
far behind
stand
the
behind the
yellow
yellow line, they truly mean stay behind
There's
the
a
yellow line.
reason.
There's a reason.
I'll stay in the back until the
Yeah.
doors open, just in case if something gonna get pushed. It ain't gonna be me. I'm just self protection. You know.
So at the top of this case, it was a hung jury. It was 10-1. And Isaiah Roth, who's the lead, who's the head of the firm, wants them to really find a jury that is somewhat sympathetic. And one of the things that, and I'll ask you guys if you guys thought it was really smart, was for Albert gave Cameron the idea to take her client off of his meds to prove that he's crazy because that was the case. Do you guys think that was a smart play or a risky play?
I mean, it was risky,
But smart.
but
Obviously, it worked.
but this is the thing when you tell somebody, when you try and tell somebody, explain to somebody that they're crazy, people have different variations of what crazy is.
Right.
So it's kind of one of those things you have to see, and once you see it, it's kind of hard to unsee it and to understand. Like you have to see to understand what this person is going through. Because if you don't see it, you're just like, oh, I mean, he doesn't seem crazy. He just seems like a kind of douchey dude that is not moving. It just keeps slinking.
Sleeping.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically. So if you're gonna be crazy, be crazy. At
Right.
least, like, especially when, like, you don't need to go to jail. You need to go to a mental health facility to help yourself.
Right. But Tim, there was a moment where Dr. Baldrix was talking
Baldridge. Hillary Baldridge.
Hillary Baldridge. Dr. Hillary Baldridge. Was on the stand and they talked about her discharging him. Did you think that was going to tank Laverne's part of the case or Cameron's part of the case? That would have
I don't think it was going to tank her case. I mean, Dr. Baldridge made a decision 6 weeks ago based on the information that she had. I mean, yes, she's a doctor, but there's no way that she could have known that her patient was going to push somebody in front of a train. I mean, it couldn't have derailed the case unless she knew about it.
And also 6 weeks is a lot of time, actually. I mean, if he had just come out of rehab or so, something could have triggered. He's still new to this, and he could have gone straight back to where he started.
Yeah, she put him on medication. She put him on medication. It wasn't her fault that he stopped taking it.
Yeah.
Right. One of the lines that I thought was really interesting that Cameron said is in her closing argument was, "Do we ignore someone's sickness?" Which is what you were talking about, Chae.
Yeah, I wrote the same thing, actually.
Which was a really powerful line
that
because
was an awesome line.
as a jury, though, have you guys ever been on a jury before?
No, we don't have juries in South Africa.
Oh,
So this is a whole new thing to me.
gosh.
I want to go to South Africa.
Kind of legal systems happening over there. But I was just on a jury last year, and it's a really weird position to be in because there's a lot of information and you don't really know what's going on. But there's a difference between the facts of a case, like having facts laid out for you, and then deciding on emotion. And I thought that asking the jury, do we see somebody's sickness, was acting on their emotional part instead of what was in front of them. Like if I was a juror, I would have looked at the doctor and said, well, you discharged him 6 weeks ago, and you didn't think that he was that crazy. And I'm going off of, if you believe the doctor as a credible witness, it's very difficult for you to now believe that he's crazy.
But I think that's why they took him off his meds, and that's why I think Laverne wanted to do that, because like they did in that whole role-playing thing when the judge had, the prosecutor play Laverne's, sorry, I keep using the actual
That was
names.
fun.
Cameron.
Yeah, Cameron, thank you. Play that role. He said, when he pushed her, he wasn't on his meds. So it's not really fair to put the doctor on there because the doctor put him on his meds. So when he committed the crime, it's a completely different circumstances. There's completely different circumstances when he committed the crime. So she really has this, like Chanel said, 6 weeks is a long time. It's over a month. So I don't see why that would even sway a jury.
Right. No, I'm just saying, like, those are the type of things, like, because the DA put the doctor on the stand, but I don't think he knew that the meds were. I don't think that he knew that he was off the meds. The DA knew that he was off the meds.
I don't think he knew what he was like off the meds, and nobody did, and that's why she put him off the meds. So then, if you
were a jury, would you have found that to be a little like trickery? You know, like, oh my goodness, why would she take him off the meds?
No, because if I was a juror, I would want to see, like, if we're talking about crazy, I want to see how he's crazy. Yeah.
No, what I thought was a smart move.
What I found interesting while during, like, the in between the main case and the secondary case was you had the character Nick, and like he sat there for hours and hours in this office.
Yes, I wrote down some subplots. There were definitely some subplots.
Just in the office, just like you gonna notice me today. Yeah. Like I have some respect for that tenacity. Like I'm like I want to be heard. I want to talk to the big dog. Like I'm here. Like I want you to see me. Like right. And then he had this changing. He brought that whole Michael Slater thing out. And you're just like, okay, who is this kid?
Right, yeah. And I liked his story. You know, I guess the actor's name is Kobe Libby. He's actually from Madam Secretary. He was in jail for counterfeit bills. Yeah. Got his law degree in jail and now wants a job so that he can pass the character portion of the bar.
And that's, you know, that's what I meant by when I said earlier about they touched on like backstories of characters that they could explore later on. Like, why was he in jail? I mean, why was he in jail? But why was he really in jail? You know what I mean? Like, there's like other things that they could explore later on. That's what I'm excited about the show.
Yeah, I think there are other things that I'm really interested in seeing because we're going to wrap up here in a little bit. Sadie and Billy's relationship. Obviously,
Definitely.
Sadie recused herself at the end.
Although I do feel like we jumped into that really quickly. I wasn't expecting that. I thought it was going to be a slow introduction.
I think after 4 months, after 4 months and he's out now, that actually makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, but I wasn't expecting that. It was like a little caught off guard.
But not only Sadie's relationship with Billy, but Sadie's relationship with Calvin, the ADA. I was like, something is not. They've hooked up at some point because it seemed too familiar. No. When she turned around, I was like, Calvin, what's wrong? And I was like, oh, okay, I see what's happening.
No, what I found interesting is just like all the interconnection a little bit. Like you have Isaiah, who's, you know, the head of Roth and Associates, and then his case from 34 years ago is somehow connected to Sadie. And that person was her mom, and he fell in love with her mom. Like,
that's where the tears were.
You just like took her under your wing, when she, like,
right.
And that scene was just like, I'm with you. Like, I was just like so moved by that last scene. That closing scene was perfect.
Anything Judith Light does is like gold. And if you're here in California, she's at Pasadena Playhouse right now doing
she's doing that with
God Looks
Al
Away
Pacino?
with Al Pacino. God Looks Away. But she
tickets are expensive.
That's what I thought because and that's why I wrote down about Boston Legal because what's his name from The Blacklist? Who's the actor in The Blacklist?
Talks to wrong people.
No. James Spader. Yeah. So James Spader was in Boston Legal, and but William Shatner reminds me of Isaiah's character in Boston Legal as like that father figure, and then James Spader played that younger kind of associate, not that younger partner or whatever. And I feel like that balcony scene was like a throwback to that, and I feel like hopefully we get a lot of those scenes with Isaiah and Sadie because I do think that. Because he was in love with her mother, that they have that father-daughter.
Even if he's like, I'm not your father,
he said
but
that.
I'm
your
boss.
father.
I think, and like the fact that he's a boss that gets himself thrown into jail repeatedly, not once. We're talking about repeated offenses of contempt now.
Right. He's definitely a firecracker.
He's passionate.
Yeah.
He's definitely passionate. So obviously we have a lot more episodes left. This is a half season, so they'll probably only do like 10 episodes. 13 episodes. What that's gonna take us into some predictions of what's coming up.
Oh goodness.
Your AfterBuzz TV.
Oh, that's quite cool.
13. We got 12 episodes left. 13 episodes this whole season. Chae, you already brought up something that you thought was gonna happen. That you thought it was the mother.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I feel like he gives us blood, and even if it comes back positive, I feel like 90. It might be like because it's familial match, maybe because like. Okay, what I loved about the mom character, the way she went to Dule Hills, like, oh, you got a scratch on you. Did you murder someone last night? Like
you thought.
I'm like, you better be a mother right now. I'm just like, 'cause that line was just perfectly 'Cause it was like the same, like it was kind of the same spot, like
Right.
from when he was 16. Like that's actually,
But
that
then
symbolism gotta mean something. Like there's no reason it's there
But
without
then
a
it just
meaning.
makes me think that she's been thinking about this way too hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like she's trying to cover something up. Like, oh.
Like I feel like, but that's why I feel like she did it. Like
Right.
okay, like at 3 a.m. Why are you checking in on your son? Like I mean, despite the fact like okay, you got a call and he's like. You might want to just check to see if he's there, but you kind of should already know your son's there.
I feel you.
Because like you saw him come home, so where did you go after
Right.
he came home?
Just girl, you're good.
Call the special victims
Food for
unit.
thought, like
Tim, what
I love that shit, man.
do you?
Now I'm thinking overtime on your
Right.
stuff.
I mean, it's literally the pilot, you guys. It's so early to make these kinds of predictions, but I'm going to play devil's advocate and say that it's not the mother. I don't think it really has anything to do with Billy Brennan right now. I think this case is going to end a lot sooner than we think it will. I feel like this case is just out there to bring Billy and Sadie together. I think it's probably going to end really quick, and then they're going to move on to another suspect and go on from there. I think Judith Light, just touching back on her character, Caroline Rice, I feel like she is going to get out soon, and that's going to add a whole nother dimension to Sadie and to Isaiah, because obviously he's in love with her. And I feel like that's where the characters are going to go in that direction. But I don't think he killed her.
Janelle?
oh goodness, I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm that one that's like literally on the fence. I have no idea, but maybe I can talk about the ending because that really touched me. It really moved me. I enjoyed that, and I'm just interested to see how that Sadie and her mom relationship play out. And
do.
now Sadie coming in instead of
Isaiah.
maybe that's going to change something with the mom's case.
Well, I couldn't tell you what's gonna happen. I'm the worst at predicting things.
I think I'm the same as you now.
I'm like, I don't know what's gonna happen, guys. Like I do. I'm like, I don't know what's gonna happen. On
We should
these
just
shows.
watch, then we'll find out.
We'll watch and find out. So we definitely want to know what you guys have predicted. Use the hashtag ABTVDoubt to let us know what you guys think of the show. You can follow me on Twitter at Drexel Heard.
You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Chanel Hurlin.
You can find me at Real Chae Jones on Twitter and Instagram.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. You can find me at I am Timothy Mike. I am Timothy Michael.
And we'll see you next Thursday night
Woo-hoo!
for episode 2, Then and Now. We'll live tweet Wednesday night, and then we'll see you all then.
And join our live chat, guys. We'd love to see you on
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Chop in the live
If
chat.
you're up, LA, New York, you're probably asleep. Sorry.
Good night, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.